thank you everybody for joining this morning. I am here with a special edition Brokers Open with my good friend and insurance agent, Ramona Smart of Smart Insurance Agency. She is here to break down all things insurance. Insurance is one of those topics that can be confusing because there are so many different types of insurance. And of course, I'm talking to Mona today about mortgage insurance, real estate insurance in particular, but that crosses over into overall asset protection. And so, Mona, real briefly, how long have you been in the insurance game? What got you into this business?
So way back when, I know I'm going to start way back. Way back, I did mortgages, and I saw the value there.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think that it was something for me until I met a agent that was doing really well, and she was running a really good business. And we would go on walks and talk, and she would just talk about how she started the business, and I was like, I think I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and worked for her for about 6 months. And I come from a very entrepreneurial family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I can't work for somebody. I have to do this on my own. If she can do it, I can do it.
Right.
And so I was just like, let me just go out on my own. And I started, this is 9 years ago.
Okay.
And I started from my very first renter's policy and grew from there. So it was hard, but it was the best decision I ever made, and wish I had started sooner.
I understand. I feel the same way about real estate. I feel the exact same way about real estate.
So the fear prevented it, but glad I overcame that. Yep.
Yeah. You just got to take a leap of faith sometime. So I want you to tell us the insurance that you deal with, and Mona works specifically with Farmers Insurance, and you guys, I can't stress enough how great of an agent she is. I have my own testimony with Ramona. How does the insurance you offer differ from other insurances, say life insurance or just other insurances that are on the market? How is what you offer different?
Okay, so let's first break it down, because initially you said mortgage insurance. Right. So mortgage insurance is something completely different. Okay, so yes, exactly. So when they say mortgage insurance, that's like your PMI. That is what you have if you are putting a full amount down. That has nothing really to do with the fire, wind, hail, and hazard insurance. Right. On the other hand, is your actual homeowner's insurance. So now we are insuring you against a hazard, and the primary home insurance is the hazard of fire, the hazard of wind, hail, wind, hail, fire, and theft and liability. So those are the main. If you have a comprehensive homeowner's policy, those are the things that are encompassed within a good homeowner's policy. Mm-hmm. So back to your original question that's one homeowner insurance. Then we have auto insurance, umbrella insurance, and then we have things for all different types of businesses, mm-hmm. builders risks, and then we have the most insurance out there, life insurance, yes. And health insurance. So those are all different, and they are insurances that prevent financial loss for specific areas.
Okay. So thank you so much for breaking it down.
The biggest thing you want to remember is that when you have a homeowner's policy, it doesn't necessarily cover you for everything. And a lot of times people confuse a home warranty with a homeowner's policy. Mm-hmm. So all the little gadgets, and it's not to help maintain your home. Mm-hmm. You as a homeowner are taking on that liability of checking your pipes, making sure all your pipes are free of roots. You have to have a pride in ownership. When it's time for the roof to get repaired, that's something the insurance doesn't maintain the house. You have to go and get a new roof if it's time. If there's chipping paint on the exterior, you need to go out and get your house painted. That is part of being a homeowner, and that's not something that an insurance policy mitigates against.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So there's a such thing as maintenance and then actual hazards to property, which through proper maintenance, you can avoid some of those hazards. So a home warranty can kind of work hand in hand with your insurance policy in
Absolutely.
some
And I
way.
definitely, yes, I absolutely suggest you get one. One thing that people, when they first purchase their home, the seller normally purchases their home warranty for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that first year, it could be cost prohibitive, so they don't renew it or they forget to renew it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I would definitely suggest, especially if you have an AC. A lot of times they cover for electrical systems, your appliances within your home. It's something good to have,
Right.
especially if the cost of maintenance is something that might be a little bit much for you.
Right. Because oh my God, home maintenance can get really, really steep. These are some old properties we're dealing with. Even if you're not dealing with an old property, they just always need something.
And when
So,
you think about it was 100 and what, 20 something,
yeah,
AC units were going out.
yeah, yeah, for
So,
sure. For sure.
so, and you have to pay, and it was a holiday, so you were paying that extra fee.
Right.
So, yes,
Right. Surge pricing
exactly.
on your AC usage. So,
Yeah.
what's interesting, when you buy a home or when you buy a car, you're not going to take that car off the lot without bringing in some sort of proof of insurance. In the same way, you're not going to close a real estate deal without having proof of insurance. Why do you believe that's so critical to the transaction? I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but why do homeowners really need to make sure they have this protection in place and not minimal protection?
So, two things. Um, One, the lender's not going to let you walk out the door without it, because now, yes, you've purchased the home, but the bank still really owns it
Right.
because it's their money at risk.
Right.
Yes, they're going to come after you for that mortgage payment, God forbid the whole thing burns down. So they want to make sure that their asset is protected and that they are going to have some way of recouping funds if you, one, decide not to pay your mortgage, two, decide not and something happens to the home and now they no longer have that value that they've placed that lien against.
Right.
So they are going to require, they don't care about your personal property. They don't care about your liability. All they care about is if that thing burns down, they can get their money back.
Right.
So there's the difference in quality of insurance that's required at closing.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to make sure that you have the basic fire policy that if it burns down, they get their money.
Mm-hmm.
As a homeowner, you want to make sure that your asset, the money you put down and the home that you are building is protected. And it's a different train of thought. And that if somebody were to come over to your home and trip and fall and get injured, this friend that is no longer going to be a friend because now they're going to sue you and you're going to be on opposite sides of a table. You want a lawyer to back you up, to fight for you, and you want to have some sort of protection that you won't have to pay out of pocket for this person's injuries, their medical bills, their loss of wages, and their pain of suffering. And the pain of suffering, that could be any number. That's
Right.
not who knows what that number really is.
Right. How do you quantify that?
Right, exactly. So you want to make sure that you are protected properly. And a lot of times that comes down to the advice that you seek. So your agent. So you want to make sure that you are protected properly. And a lot of times that comes down to the advice that you seek. So your agent. So even in a claim, you want to make sure that your agent is going to be your advocate, not just someone that says, okay, dial this number and good luck. So a lot of times in this age of doing everything online, people just kind of do a plug and play. And they just say, I need this, this, and this. The lender says it's okay, I'm good. And they don't think about it for 2-3 years.
Right.
Because now it's being paid in the mortgage and they know it's just being taken care of, but they don't actually think about the fact that until something happens, then they have to, like, who do I call? What's my number? How do I do this? Because now there was a fire in my kitchen.
Right.
And I need to go live somewhere and I have my family in the car. What do I do?
Right.
And you're dialing a 1-800 number. Whereas you have an agent and you have their cell number and you call them and you're like, help, what do I do? There was a fire. I need to make sure that that we have a place to stay tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And what are the next steps? How do I even navigate through this?
So what is one myth about insurance that you would like to dispel? What is something that you hear people say that you're like, that's incorrect? Let me clear this up for you.
One,
If
so two, there's two.
Okay.
One is that once they purchase their homeowner's policy, they automatically think they have earthquake coverage, and they think it covers you for earthquake. Mm-hmm. That is a completely separate policy. That is something very important in California. And people always ask me, do you think I really need this? And I'm like, well, we haven't had a big one in a long time. To me, that means we might be due. So, and I hate to put that energy out there or whatever, but yes, better safe than sorry. So earthquake is something you have to purchase separately, and it's not always super expensive. People think that it's just financially, just get a quote. The second one is about auto insurance. So everybody thinks, well, I have satisfied the state's minimum of $1,530, and I am good. All I got to do is I can have my car registered. I'm legally out there driving on the road, so I'm good.
Right.
Well, if you actually want the protection that will prevent you from having absolute financial devastation, make sure you have really good auto insurance, which means high limits, and a $1 million umbrella policy on top of that. I cannot stress, especially of assets. If you have assets that you want to protect and future earnings that you're building towards, you need to make sure that, because that, I feel, is one of your biggest risks out there. Yeah, we're all quarantined now, so the risk is definitely minimized. But out on that 405, that 101, you never know what can happen. And sometimes you don't know where the fault may lie, because you may think you were doing all the right things. And in this whole scheme of things, 3-car accident, you get 20% of the liability.
Right.
20% of what?
Right.
How big is the damages?
That's 20%.
Exactly. How many people are injured? God forbid someone died. This is somebody's in the hospital for 6 months, a year, because they're in traction. They have to learn how to walk again. They're out of a job. All of those things you are now responsible for, even if you're only responsible for 20%.
Can you talk a little bit too, Mona, about umbrella insurance? Because that is something that you helped me with. And it was something that I was not familiar with until somebody in our leadership team brought it to all of the agents in our office attention in the midst of a lawsuit she was experiencing, and why it was important. Can you just talk about umbrella insurance and why we should have it?
Yeah, so with your home policy, there is a liability coverage within that. So that covers you for defense as well as settlement. So most times, depending on the value of the home, I like to put $1 million on every single policy, but of course the client gets the ultimate decision. And so I'm just like, you can't do less than 500,000. So that is the most that you would be covered in the event that you were sued for some sort of negligence within the home. There's different areas. It can cover you in different ways, but the simplest way is to say that you have a railing on some stairs that wasn't fixed, and you were negligent in getting that fixed, and someone fell over the railing and injured their back, and now you are responsible for all those things. The next portion is, so let's take that example. They end up in the hospital and they are there for a while, and they've lost their job and all that, and so now you're responsible for all their financial loss. It ends up being, your coverage is 500,000. The settlement ends up being 700,000. So your home insurance pays that 500. You are now responsible for 200,000. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna sell something? Are you going to have your wages garnished? Like, what are your options? In that case, the umbrella kicks in. So now the base umbrella is $1 million in general. That million, you have access now to $1 million more dollars within that umbrella to cover any excess over your home policy.
Mm-hmm.
And then similar to our auto example, in the event that the minimum for most umbrellas is 250,000 in auto coverage, which means in one accident, one injured individual, the most that they would pay is $250,000 for their injuries, pain, suffering, loss of wages, all that stuff.
Okay.
I have a gentleman that was driving down the road, made a right turn, ran into someone, and that person had a traumatic brain injury. So their 200, like on this policy still, oh, I mean, this claim is still open.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're already 250,000 into the umbrella. So
Mm-hmm.
that means the 250 for the auto has been used,
Right.
and they're already into the 250 of the umbrella. And
Right.
so that's already 500,000 that he didn't have to pay. It was his negligence, and he ran into this person. But
Right.
can you imagine the financial, what he would have to do in order to make that person whole again
Yeah. Yeah.
without that coverage?
And like our team leader that told us about it, it was a motorcycle accident. Her spouse ran into somebody who was on a motorcycle, and they thought they had an out of court settlement until the motorcyclist realized how many assets they had.
Yep.
And she was like, "You guys, I mean, just imagine having to write a check for $350,000 and how painful that is. I mean, God
How
bless
much
you.
work you put into making
Write
that
a check,
money?
right?"
Well, there's that part, but
But my Lord, you know what I mean?
yeah. And then you didn't have to.
Right, right.
If you would have just taken the time to look at your insurance and make sure you had someone who was advising you properly, you wouldn't have had to write that check.
Yeah, I immediately called you after that because I was already in. Okay, so now I can brag on Mona for the next few minutes. So I got a new car at the end of 2019, decided to move into electric cars, electric vehicles, got a Tesla, super happy with it, super excited with
You're
it.
so excited.
Right. Sat with Mona and was like, let's look at my home insurance. And she was like, girl, this home insurance is clearly a decade old. You have way more stuff you need to cover. So she got me on the right track with that, got me with the right insurance with the car. Maybe 2 weeks after taking possession of the car, I get into an accident, like the worst possible experience. And the one thing that Tesla is still figuring out is how to do repair work quickly. So I was out of a car for almost 2 months. I barely spent a dime on that repair work. And the one thing I was thank you, Andretta. The one thing I was so excited about was when I took the car to the collision repair shop and I told them who my insurance carrier was, which was Farmers. They were like, oh, thank God. We don't have any problems with Farmers. Like whatever repair work comes up, chances are you're going to be just fine. But because she also had me on a really good policy that covered the auto, when I went to go rent a car, I was like, look, I done went through this whole process getting the electric vehicle. I got the plug at my house. Like I did this so I don't have to spend gas. Is it possible for me to rent an electric vehicle? And they were like, oh, you have the maximum on a rental. Like we trying to put you in this BMW or this Mercedes over here, but are you asking for another Tesla? I'm like, yeah, if you can get me one, yes. And lo and behold, there we go. I was able to rent a Tesla for the duration of my car being in the shop. So I am ever so grateful to you for that because it was already, you already done spent money getting a car.
Right. And you're
not
to be in your car.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And so for that to happen, and to me, the damage seemed minimal, but because of the type of car, I mean, they take the whole thing apart and order parts. I mean, it was just a thing. So
that's the thing is, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's it. Mona was just patient. She explained everything thoroughly. And the fact that she encouraged me to really make this investment in myself, because this is one of those things where insurance really is you investing in yourself. but you are so ready to allocate that money elsewhere because you're like, I'm not trying to get in an accident. When am I ever going to see the payout? You just can't call life. You know what I mean? So it's so worth it to make that investment in yourself, because when you do need it, you're so grateful to not have to worry about anything. So thank you again.
You're so very welcome. And that's the thing, is that being on this side, you see what happens. Like I insure lots of Teslas, and I know through and it's so interesting because the first Tesla I did insure, they were rear-ended within a week. It's like there's a magnet of some sort that people just want to hit a Tesla. And it's one of those things where the repair time is ridiculous. And so, I mean, people love the car and they're still buying the car, and it's an excellent car. However, don't get into an accident, because you will be without that car for a while. And so having the proper rental coverage, you just have to put lots of money into that in the event, because or else you're going to get you'll have driving in your Tesla one day and the next day you're in a little Camry that roll down. You have to roll down the windows because that's all the rental coverage you can afford.
Mona, I am so grateful to you for giving us this time today. I hope you will be able to come back and check in. I think it'll be important for viewers to just get knowledge about insurance. Make sure you follow Mona at Mona Smart, and also at Smart Insurance Agency on IG. Slide into her DMs if you got questions, because she absolutely is a one-stop shop for all things home and auto insurance. Make sure you guys have
get your life insurance. Yes. Life.
Get life insurance, folks. We are grown. We need these things. All right, everybody.
All right, my dear.
Tuesday. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.